Why do marriages fail? I was a licensed marriage and family therapist for many years, and I specialized in attachment theory. Through my clinical experience, I discovered what I believe is the core reason that the majority of marriages fall apart. By applying my hypothesis with couples therapy clients, I was able to reverse the relationship damage they experienced and halt divorces in marriages that other therapists had given up on. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Now I coach people all over the world to build great and fulfilling relationships. The approach I built as a licensed marriage and family therapist is what has helped me save hundreds of marriages in my coaching practice as I show my clients what has been eating at the heart of their marriage. It has also helped me build my own wonderful marriage of going on 15 plus years with 5 happy children to share together. Now, as my clinical supervisor from my therapist days trained me to remember, when you see the problem, then you can build the solution. In this video, I'll show you exactly what I've learned is at the heart of the vast number of divorces and failed marriages. Those that stay together but feel cold and hostile and unloving. And I'm going to show you what has worked for thousands of other couples in rekindling their love and helping them like each other again. Not just love each other, but like each other. Not only as trusted companions, but as beloved partners in the adventure of life. So if you are fighting all the time, if the bedroom is cold, if you feel like roommates instead of lovers, and if every attempt to fix things turns hostile and makes things worse, you've probably been unknowingly dissolving your marriage from the inside by doing this one thing wrong. So let's jump in and let me show you exactly what is going wrong in marriages today so that we can then talk about the solution to fixing it. So what is wrong in marriages today? Well, there's a rising issue that affects approximately 50% of adults. 50%. Now, the research over the past 25 years has shown this 4 times with 4 separate studies that attachment issues now affect an estimated 50% of adults. That's why the research also suggests that 39% of first-time marriages end in divorce. 50% of all marriages end in divorce, including your 4th marriage, your 7th marriage. Those are likely to get worse and worse and worse as a person goes on. But first marriages, 39%. Attachment issues sabotage marriage, and I believe that's what's happening in those destructive marriages. It's not just that the couples aren't winning together. They are being dissolved like acid from the inside as attachment issues eat away at the heart of everything they're trying to build. Now, what is attachment insecurity? It's the way that we connect to other people to get our needs met. It's the skill set and the mindset that we learned from childhood to bond with other people, to believe that they have our best interests at heart, to believe that they will be fair with us, and to believe that we deserve love and that we can use direct, clear communication, like I'm using right now with you, to talk about what we need, what we think, what we feel, and what the problems are, and that other people will respond to us. If that gets broken, if you learn that nobody will ever be fair with you, or if you learn that you do not deserve love, you have to sneak around and do nice things for others so they will hopefully do nice things for you. If you learn that love does not happen for you, it can only occasionally happen to you, and you have to be nice so that other people will do that for you. If that's what you learned, you won't be able to build a surviving marriage. You won't be able to build a thriving connection with another person. How could you possibly build a sustainable, lifelong marriage if you don't believe you can talk to the other person about what hurts you or what makes you happy or what you need or what scares you? If you can never be honest, how can you build something sustainable and mutually fulfilling? That's what's at the heart of broken marriages. That makes sense to you. It made sense to me too years ago when I learned it. Now, when you have a bond where you can talk openly and connectedly with your partner, where you can share what you need, where you can just be clear and honest and reasonable and work together, okay? Secure attachment fosters helpful practices, such as communicating your needs to the other person. Hey, here's something that I really need from you. Can you help me do this? This is really important to me. Can we take care of this? Hey, I have a need here. What do you need? Conflict resolution, being able to get through those fights without fighting, being able to debate, but work together, to respect each other, to care about each other's needs, to care about each other even when you're opposed. Refining your sexual satisfaction together comes next. How many people do you know who say, "Oh, I can't get in a marriage with somebody without having sex with them because I need to know if they're good or bad at sex"? Where did we get this idea that you're just innately good or bad at sex and you innately know what the other person wants or needs, as if people don't have different needs? As if people's body parts don't look and shape a little bit different, right? Everybody needs different things. You can refine that sexual satisfaction together and have an amazing sex life as a couple when you can communicate clearly, when you can be honest with each other. You can also feel like a priority in your partner's life. You can feel like they really care about you. You can feel like you matter. Now, sex drives in particular, let's go back to that, because those are supposed to build from emotional intimacy and connection. I call this the oxytocin pipeline. You're supposed to develop the oxytocin pipeline within the first 6 to 12 months of being together. And then it's supposed to grow through emotional intimacy and connection and honesty, vulnerability, trust, bonding, all of that into non-sexual physical intimacy, holding hands, maybe kissing, maybe just resting against each other, holding on to each other's arm, relaxing in each other's presence physically. Into more sexual but non-intercourse intimacy, more kissing, making out, groping, foreplay, all of that good stuff builds that oxytocin hormone into intercourse, into climax, into multiple climax, and then it cycles again the next day because now you have high oxytocin and you want to be more open and emotionally intimate with the other person the next day, and it just loops and loops and loops and loops, and that's how couples build amazing sex lives for life. And when you don't have secure attachment, that dies. Emotional intimacy stops or never starts. And the oxytocin pipeline never gets built. And your sex life dies when the novelty of the dopamine wears off. Because that's all you have connecting the two of you is a dopamine binge, which is no different than using pornography. You just happen to be using somebody else. That is not a sex life, you guys. That's a dopamine binge. It's a coping behavior. The oxytocin pipeline comes from a secure, loving relationship. That's why you must build this. All of these are the things you can build when you have secure attachment. I'm going to talk to you about how to build that together as a couple, but instead, here's how your marriage is dissolving when you don't have these things. One or both parties are silent and shut off from each other. You don't share your needs. You need to get your needs met on your own, or you get your needs met by fulfilling the other person with nice activities, hoping they'll guess your needs and maybe figure out how to do it. It's a guessing game. A lot of resentment boils up there, by the way. Conflict, instead of resolving it together as a couple, becomes a zero-sum game where you have to fight each other. Imagine fighting the one person on this planet that you have sworn an oath to work together side by side and back to back to fight against the world, and now you are enemies. That doesn't just come from nowhere. That comes from an inability to trust other human beings or trust yourself. You must fix that if you want your relationship to survive. Having broken attachment, one or both of you, breaks that oxytocin pipeline. Makes it hard to enjoy sex over time. Makes it hard to have a sex drive at all, usually. Again, cuts off into dopamine. What's the difference then between sex with your partner and pornography? If it's all dopamine, what's the difference? It shouldn't be like that. If you're watching this video and it seems like it would be easier to have somebody guide you through this, a mentor to show you exactly what to do step by step in applying everything you're learning here, you need to join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. I will work with you personally for an entire year in 100 plus group calls. Plus, you're going to get the support of a growth-minded community of other individuals who will be companions on your journey, people you can trust, people you can work with, and people you can practice these skills with. If you want to join us, join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. There's a link below in the description. I'll see you in there. In these broken relationships, one or even both sides stop feeling cared for. It's usually both partners don't feel loved. It's not one feels, oh, I feel great, everything's wonderful, and the other one's like, I hate my life. It's both of them say, why does nobody love me? That's where divorces come from. Why does nobody love me? All of this, you guys, this is poison for a marriage. This is poison to sex drives. There is no neutral ground here Okay? You are either growing your marriage through emotional intimacy and connection and secure attachment, or you are dissolving your marriage through broken attachment and lack of intimacy and starvation chemically for both partners. Over time, this leads to those two issues. One, couples believe that they have opposite plans for the marriage. I want this, but you want that. We can't even agree on what kind of marriage we're running anymore. This creates a cortisol association with the other person. I am fighting against you to solve problems and get this marriage back on track. You are now my enemy. Imagine trying to love somebody when your brain chemically hates them. Second problem is that couples are starving for love and affection. If you're dissolving your marriage, you will be opposed and starving, both of you. This is that lack of an oxytocin bonding hormone that's happening. This makes you less resistant against stress and cortisol because when you don't have oxytocin, you're not producing much GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA. You're not releasing that, which is an inhibitory neurotransmitter, which shuts down cortisol and stress in the future. That worsens the first problem because now you're less resistant to stress and you have higher cortisol association with the other person. You hate them more over time as you feel more lonely. Opposition and starvation lead to dissolving your marriage. So again, if you're fighting all the time, if the bedroom's cold, if you feel like roommates instead of lovers, if every attempt to fix things turns hostile and makes it worse, you've probably been unknowingly dissolving your marriage from the inside because of attachment issues. This means that opposition and starvation are likely the two main problems that you need to solve immediately. So pause here and think about that for a second. If that's happening, if you believe that you're enemies, if they believe that you are their enemy, if you're both starving, if this is World War I, and you're in the trenches shooting at each other, starving, how could your marriage not dissolve? One more time. There is no neutral ground here. If you can't say that you've been growing that bond, then it's been dying. So it's time to flip that around and grow your marriage instead through secure, healthy, loving attachment with each other. Now, at this point, couples come in and they say, Adam, can my marriage really be saved? It feels pretty hopeless. We're pretty mad at each other. In my clinical experience, all marriages can be saved, no matter the circumstances, so long as both sides are willing to come to the table and do some honest work. That is all that is needed. Willingness. Even if it does take some assistance sometimes, a skilled professional, for example, with the tools and the plan to make the relationship succeed, you can work on that willingness alone to rebuild that marriage, to stop the opposition and stop the starvation. If you're willing to do that. Now, to see if you're willing, let's test that. To see if you're able to save your marriage, you need to pass a simple test. Are you, both of you, are you willing to set aside your pride and your hurt to learn about healthy marriage behaviors and start implementing them? This does not mean ignoring your needs. This does not mean giving selflessly like a doormat to a person who doesn't care about you. This does not mean that the other person gets everything and you just drop it. Are you willing to set aside your hurt and your pride to learn about healthy marriage behaviors and start doing them from your side? Is your partner willing to do the same? If both of you can say yes and mean it, even a little bit, your marriage can be saved. So if the answer is yes, then here are 2 steps that in my experience, you must take as a couple right now to move forward into growing your connection. First step is to stop the opposition, and that means creating a new marriage agreement. I'm not talking about a prenup or a physical contract you have to sign. I have my clients who come into me list 3 things that they need in their marriage. This could be more respect, honesty completely, sex 3 times a week, prioritizing our small children, a shared religious faith, anything else that's non-negotiable to them. Cut it down to 3. 3 core things you need, each of you. So each side presents their 3 to create 6 pillars of a new marriage agreement. You write down all 6. Now, when I do this, I have people come in, couples mad at each other, furious. They fight for the first 10 minutes. Then I shut it down and say, all right, let's do a marriage agreement. Most couples are shocked, shocked to learn that they each agree with the other side's requirements. It's this moment of, wow, we're not so different after all. You want respect? Wow, I want respect too. That's amazing. Wow, you love our children? I do too. You want sex twice a week? I can agree to that. It's amazing when you come back to the table and you can actually say, wow, we both want the same things. But you have to see that on paper, which is why I write them down and show my clients, look, this is the agreement you've come up with. When they both say, yeah, I'm willing to try some things to get those. Now you have a new marriage agreement to abide by. You can come back to this agreement each time that you guys argue about how to proceed. Okay, well, we both want to solve this problem. How can we apply a solution that meets all 6 criteria? Which of the 6 criteria maybe applies here? How can we do something that comes back and solves all 6? This ends that opposition. It halts that cortisol association. You actually build a vasopressin bond instead. Vasopressin is a hormone responsible for bonding you when you solve cortisol and stress with the other person. This comes from fabulous research by Dr. Sue Carter. She's one of the leading experts in the world on studying vasopressin bonding in mammals. I recommend you check out her work. If you're watching this video and it seems like it would be easier to have somebody guide you through this, a mentor to show you exactly what to do step by step in applying everything you're learning here, you need to join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. I will work with you personally for an entire year in 100+ group calls. Plus, you're going to get the support of a growth-minded community of other individuals who will be companions on your journey, people you can trust, people you can work with, and people you can practice these skills with. If you want to join us, join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. There's a link below in the description. I'll see you in there. But vasopressin bonding is what you need to build because it's the opposite of cortisol association. Instead of you're my enemy and I have to solve problems away from you, you're my ally and I solve problems with you. How does that sound in a great marriage? Do you think that would grow the marriage or dissolve the marriage? It fixes the opposition problem. So step 1, build a new marriage agreement. Step 2, learn about emotional intimacy and start practicing it right now so that you remember that you like each other. This fixes the starvation. So many marriages are dissolving because the two sides are starving for love, both of them. Now, men tend to prioritize physical affection. They will say sex, but they're also equally hurting for hugs, kisses, touching, resting against each other on the couch, you running your hands through his hair, you just putting your hands on him. Men crave physical affection. Think of it this way. Most men after the age of 10 or 12 in America only ever receive physical kindness or any physical contact with a sexual partner, and it's almost entirely through sex. So when a husband is saying, we don't have sex, what he's saying is, nobody ever touches me ever, and I am utterly alone in this world. Think about that. Yes, sex and intimacy. This is a huge, huge oxytocin boost. It makes you like each other. It helps. It helps both of you stop starving. Physical intimacy, non-sexual physical intimacy, can build that emotional bond and lead into physical intimacy. Yes, emotional intimacy is crucial next. And that's why for women, they tend to prioritize more openness, more communication. They usually want to share thoughts, talk about their day. They want to hear about your day. They want to be able to discuss challenging feelings and find acceptance with each other. They want to share. This is a huge, huge oxytocin bond that makes women feel loved. Refusing to talk to your wife is you telling her you are not worthy of my time or my attention. I have no desire to connect with you. Take off your pants. Imagine that not working. But ladies, imagine your husband hearing you say, I have no desire for you and I do not respect you and I don't even want to be near you. You are not worthy of my love. By not hugging him, kissing him, greeting him at the door with a smile and a hug. You don't have to greet him at the door naked. Greet him at the door and give him a smile and a hug. Tell him you've missed him. So many couples say, I love you. but don't ever show it. And those words become very empty. We are designed to oxytocin bond through sharing and touching. That's what we're designed for, you guys. So do it. Feel loved. Refusing to do either one of these things dissolves your marriage through starvation. So if you're sitting there saying, well, they better go first, what you're saying is, I'm content to let my marriage continue to dissolve until I get what I want. Looping back again to the opposition problem. But implementing these two things, after building your new marriage agreement, reducing the stress and cortisol, stopping the opposition, fostering oxytocin growth, that can foster a new honeymoon phase where you both feel fulfilled and happy and content for the first time in years. Guys, I have seen this two-pronged approach to marriage rejuvenation work wonders in couples who are on the edge of divorce. Even couples who have not had sex in 4 or 5 years turn things around with this strategy. Now, I know this can be hard to implement after years in the trenches shooting at each other, especially since attachment issues may have caused those divisions in the first place. You didn't just choose not to work together. You probably don't know how. That's why I offer 2 resources that can help couples out there who want to implement this but are challenged, okay? Number 1 is the Attachment Bootcamp video course. It's a 10-step process that walks both of you through how to fix your attachment and create amazing emotional and physical intimacy together. Couples take that course and go from fighting and sexless to joyful and smiling and trusting and intimate in every way. Pause after each video, discuss what you've learned, and discuss what you want to implement in your marriage. It's an incredible experience through the Attachment Bootcamp video course. If you want more direct assistance, I also offer couples coaching. My years as a licensed marriage and family therapist, now practicing in coaching with all of those techniques brought to bear to help you find those solutions and apply them. I'm here to help, okay? Both of you can get back on track. And I can show you a wealth of other skills that you've been missing that you need to grow your marriage. So if you need assistance, if this sounds intimidating, there is help. Don't be afraid. But the biggest thing I need to leave you with today is that good marriages don't just happen. Marriages are either growing or they're dissolving. So which is yours doing right now? If you don't like the answer, turn the damage around and start building a fulfilling bond as a couple with those 2 foundational steps that I listed in this video. That is the beginning of everything else. This is going to lay a strong foundation. And there is so much goodness to learn after this, but you can stay together and enjoy your relationship with those 2 steps. And if you need more steps or more help, again, reach out. Professional assistance can turn the tide at a crucial moment and give you both the breathing room that you need to make it through this challenge together as a couple. I am Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. And for more information on problems that you need to know about because they're going to dissolve your marriage, check out my previous video on this channel called The Hidden Costs of Bad Attachment. If that doesn't scare both of you into doing the work, nothing else is going to. I'll see you in that video.